I can see the source feature is actually coming from this graphical filter group. So at any point, if I were to update those graphics, I would want to come over here and update the terrain model from the source so it can reread those graphics and update. Another thing we'll notice if I go in and just select the terrain, I've got that button here where I can go in and update it directly there. We can also add and remove features pretty quickly there, and we can export the terrain model to another format. Now what I want to look at next is the ruling. So if I go over to my ruler, I have some different options whether I can deactivate a rule or remove a rule. If I remove the rule, it's gone, and there's no way to put it back. I would just need to recreate the terrain model. If I deactivate it, that'll temporarily just turn the rules off, so it's not going to continually update the process until I'm ready for it to, and then I can activate it back. So in the past, I'm going to bring this sheet up here if you want to reference this. Here, so page 22. This is the really difference. If you deactivate, then you're going to see this icon where you can reactivate it. In the past, we weren't able to edit the terrain model if it was ruled. It would pretty much just lock it in. They have changed that to where now you can run the editing tools and it will still stay ruled. You don't have to deactivate them first, and that happened in 10.12. So that's what we're running here, so we can actually play around with that feature while we're in here. We'll just go in and look at how we can do some manipulation, I believe. Let's see. We're going to start by adding and modifying the features. So if we go back to our DGN, and you zoom into somewhere where we have these buildings here and down here, you'll notice you got some triangles running all the way through it. And that's because we set these as, these weren't set as a feature. For whatever reason, when we set our filter, it didn't grab those. So we're just going to manually go in and correct that. It really should be corrected in the filter itself, and add that level in or change the level of the building so it's correct. But we're going to just go in and add these features in as drape voids manually. So they just got missed in that filter. So I'm going to go and bulk select those two buildings that have the break lines running through them. And then over here in the editing tools, I'm going to add my features. Choose my terrain model. So to do that, I'm just going to select any of my triangles. And then I want to add those in as drape voids. So I'm going to go down to drape void, select that, and then go in. There is a difference between a void and a hole, and I always have to look it up. One of them, I think it's the hole, like you actually punch a hole in the terrain. So if you were to merge that to another terrain, that hole is always going to exist. Whereas if you just have a void, the primary terrain will fill in that void. And sometimes I get those flip-flopped, but there is a difference between the two when you're adding those to your terrain models. So that's adding a feature. We can also remove a feature. What we're going to look at next is just changing the feature type. So down here, we're going to do that with this one. So we're going to choose change feature type. We're going to select the boundary, right click, and then we're going to change this to a drape void as well. Now I have seen where the change feature does not work. And so what I will do is I'll first remove it from the terrain, and then I'll go and just re-add it as a different feature, and that always does work. Everybody doing okay? Any help?